Hello, beautiful people, wherever you are. Welcome back. It's Alasco back again to the root of today. Here we are. Everything is so fantastic as we are just starting this kind of the video. We're having some of the flu a little bit because of, you understand, the climate change. Sometimes it buffers with and alters the body functioning and the normality of the body. So here we go. We have much of the things today to analyze and put it one on one because everyone is just waiting for this kind of the video so they can just entitle and know what's really popping out Gintu and how is everything just running and how we're going to be assessmentical, understanding and handling much of the pogroms and the postgroms that are on the way forward here. So at the G Castle here on top to make sure that this is Agata and the G Castle on top here in terms of the iron sheets are black and everything is so fantastic. I like charcoal black here and the whitish here and some bluish in color. So much of the people want to talk about what is this color here. I dim them dogs, shout out for you and making sure that I have this kind of the shirts and everything is so fantastic. And M Carol added me much of the vests here to commercial. Everything is so fantastic. And also much of appreciation to everyone who has been tuned and locked in and supporting Gintu to make sure that we are grooving together and making it happen. Oh, my hand is getting even tired, guys, because I'm always holding much of the phone here and there. Because if it could be a GoPro, at least we understand how the things are going to be going. So right now here, it's just handling the phone and everything is so fun. I did this kind of the handling of the phone so many years ago. Talk about 2023, then I forgot about it a little bit. So when I'm just back to filming using a phone here, it's a little bit having me a little bit of a pleasure and time and talk about, oh, I'm just recalling the obvious things here. So tomorrow I'm going to be going back to the police there so they can just sort out much of the things that remained, talk about the GoPro and also talk about the GoPro is the main issue because it was not offered back due to the person who was in charge of talk about the person who is I think is called the corporal or something like the corporal. So never learned me about it, so we're gonna be going back to check on it, and if they're gonna be talking about going to get the GoPro, okay. If it's gonna not come back, it's okay also, because we're gonna be looking forward so they can just purchase one. That's what I can just talk about. If somebody can talk about, I'm not going to give it out and not to do such kind of the shenanigans. I don't have much of the failure to talk about anything about that one, because whoever wants Gintu to decrease, and God has everything. God understands that this is the portfolio, because I'm always analyzing and I cannot know how to shoot much of the videos in terms of having the senior party. It's gonna be coming very late, which is maybe on Wednesday. Much of the people are contributing to make sure that the senior party is going. We have $50 already. Somebody has just democratized with $50, and much more they are talking about. They're gonna be representing to talk about. They're gonna be sending much of the money for the senior party, which is gonna be coming on Wednesday, and they're gonna be going for live and also launching how is it called, the drone. It's gonna be launched during that day, and we're gonna be shooting much of the video. So that's why tomorrow I want to go and bring my GoPro, because that kind of a GoPro, it's everything. And I've ever been talking about this kind of the people, they have ever been talking about, do you know the GoPro was given to Gintu, I don't know what and what and what. The GoPro came as a surprise, and I was one of the biggest chief chefs, and I was promised that whenever you do everything correctly, I'm gonna be promising you to have this kind of a thing. I never forced anyone to bring me a GoPro. So much of the people are just dictatorizing much of their own affidavit, talking about Gintu, that kind of the GoPro belongs to the Didi uncle. You understand? Much of the things are just by fault, because we have to understand each other here, because much of the people don't understand that it was given out. I never ordered for it to come, and they came and talked about, Gintu, I want to be giving you this kind of the GoPro because of ever doing much of good things here and there, and they're going to be surprising you with a GoPro and everything to get forward. So I'm going to be getting for it. I know much of the people have been talking about, oh, you know, the GoPro going to be going. I don't know if they're going to be talking about, I'm not going to take the GoPro there. It's going to be going, and will not be bothered. I'll continue with my phone as usual. And if I see the GoPro is becoming a shenanigan, I'm going to be buying a GoPro and a phone at the same time, because sometimes if somebody wants to decline and talk about things going to not come out clearly, you have to make sure that they are just diminished in that kind of a manner. But the G is the real G. I will never stop making sure that everybody is getting the real point and what has to go on and on and on. So during that day, I don't know if such kind of a stand it was available. I never saw it, and I don't know how it will go. But I'm just waiting for it. And what I can just assure you is, somebody can just talk about, oh, Gintu, didn't you finish much of the things with the police? There are some of the things that they took from me, like the goggles. So that you can just remember the other day I was having the sunglasses, and I was having a cape. It was not Adidas. It was something like. Was it Toyota or was it what? Something. It was a hat. Talk about this kind of a hat, and they took it also, and they talked about, oh, Gintu, we're gonna be shaving you, oh, SBCD here, and they wanted to shave me here, but I talked about, no, the hair has nothing to do with my brain, my friend. Sometimes you have to consider this kind of the considerations here. So even to that kind of the department, sometimes you have much of the people who are considerate. They understand it, they know. And that's why I was ever complain about, I want my phone back, because the phone is everything. Whenever I have the phone, everybody can just enjoy, everybody can just get the information, how it's going to be going, and how we're going to be growing together. And I appreciate much of the people still up to today confirming that, oh, Gintu, are you the one? Are you really the one, Gintu, I'm talking to? Yeah. Whenever you just press that kind of the number, it's going to be coming to Gintu direct. But what I'm just doubting is my number might be in a track, because they might be listening to whatever I'm just talking about always whenever I'm communicating to much of the people. So when I'm just talking about that one, because I've just determined and I've just seen what is really coming on, and that is the real fact. So I'm gonna be going to rectify the number, because it is under tracking, and I understand how the thing's gonna be going before I go and take, because I was given up to 20 seconds so as I can just go and pick my all stuff that remained there. And what I mean is that my stuff that remained there, it's to make sure that they're just checking on me, the progress of how I'm just going on. Am I going to talk about them? Am I going to talk about this kind of the awkward family? Am I going to talk about this demagogues here and there? But the real fact is, I'm not bothered with small boys. I'm not bothered with small families like this kind of the demagogues here. So what has to come on is to make sure that we are going forward. And the project I ever talked about is the G Castle. There's no one who can just intimidate. There's no one who can just lure me A, B, C, D here and there, that we can just leave the G Castle not to continue. That is the real fact about it. So I appreciate much of the people who have been there to make sure that are supporting Gintu to have this kind of the points to go forward here. Already, hey, my hand is already. You have to understand, guys. You know the content is struggling, and we always struggle to make it happen. Whenever it comes to you, you know, I have changed my hands here and there, and my legs are shenaniganing down here. But everything is so fantastic. I have to sit down so that I can just a little bit have that kind of a pose of giving this kind of the video out. So where we have just reached, most of the people are going to be looking about, oh, Gintu, where have we reached in terms of the G Castle here? The G Castle is going forward, and it's just characteristically good in terms of the upper section. Guys, I told you that we are done with the upper section of the G Castle. You can just check. All over the places are just made sure that they are fantastic. Talking about they have been already antagonized properly in terms of the tiling procedure, in terms of the tiling protocols, and everywhere is sealed. Right now, we are ever determining to know, is there any leakage onto the house? Is there anything that's going to be having a leakage onto the house? There is no leakage right now onto the house, specifically from the sections of the bricks. Talk about from the intersections of the bricks. We don't have any kind of leakage. And also I can talk about the only way we are just getting much of the water getting onto the G Castle is through this kind of talk about the deck, because the deck is the one that it's facilitated to have much of the water congestion on top here. So sometimes it just goes back to you can just check onto this kind of the side. We have some of the bricks here to the downer level. So whenever water gonna be congesting here, it's gonna be having the leakages through the bricks and getting, you can see the water spots inside the house or inside the G Castle whenever it rains, because of the vapority of, or the vaporous spots on there. bricks section here. So when I go forward, I talk about tomorrow we're gonna be having much of the things still conducting here. As today we're gonna be going for a pause. Yesterday it was an Easter, but we were in work, and I provided a very good environment. God, I can just promise you that yesterday I provided a good environment for the people who are working here, and that is the best moment that I can ever talk about. I'm ever achieving it to make sure that my people who are just working for me, they cannot get a stress, and I promise you that much of the people feel that they can ever come to Gintu and just sit there, relax, and just look at how the environment is, and they can feel good, and they can just feel that they are at home. They can just feel they are so secured whenever they're just here. And when I'm always around, I like to see much of the people not even loitering, but having a work that can even improve their lives and make sure that they're moving. So what I can just talk about is also I have dug there a hole which is representing, and tomorrow we're going to be having much of the engineer who will be making sure they're giving me the quotation as are going to be taking back or building that kind of a hole to make sure that you're going to be gathering much of the water of the G Castle. And I promised much of the people that are going to be giving out the room and the water that we're going to be harvesting here and pumping to the top tower, and I will be giving to the villagers whenever it reaches to the sun. Talk about the sun time, talk about the sunny time or the drought time. Because here we have that kind of a problem of having or being affected with the drought sometimes here. So I want to facilitate and make sure that we are having a better water system, clean water, harvested water, and we're going to be storing it in a very good tank. So I'm going to be constructing a very good tank that's going to be holding all of these waters and to inside there. So what I can just assure you is everything going to be getting very forward, and there's nothing going to be intermingling our own affidavit of moving forward. So we're going to be arresting all this kind of the postcoms and not ever getting to this kind of the imbroglios that have ever been thrown, because we understand if you are not very strong, we're going to be affected, and we're going to be having much of the intermediate things that are going to be flowing onto us. As I go forward, I also represent to make sure that on Wednesday, guys, I've talked about going to be having an after Easter vulnerable party, and people have just continued to contribute much of the money that will ever continue to make sure that we are giving the charity programs. And somebody can just comment in the comment section, how do you wish us to perform it? Because we're going to be having food, which is much of the chicken, talk about ugali, we're going to be having rice, and also the budget is 50,000, I think. It's going to be enough, because we're going to be buying them fabrics, we're going to be buying them much of the things that are essential. Talk about the basins. Much of our grandmothers, grandfathers, they don't have such kind of the basin. When you go to their houses and you find whatever they're just using as a basin, you'll ever wonder, guys. And I'm gonna be buying them some basins. Talk about I'm gonna be buying them some sugar so they can just go in for it. Talk about even a rice. We can just use a relief rice. It can just work, even if we cannot support of 5 kgs each, but we can just use a relief rice that we can just come and we take even a kg for each and every, so you can just make sure that we are giving them small thing. We're gonna be having some music there for them to cherish, dance, because some of them are sitting at home, they're just bored, they're never ever stressed, they are having such kind of the problems. So when I want to make sure that their problems are getting out, Gintu is their medicine, to make sure that they're gonna be making sure they're gonna be dancing the traditional dances. They're gonna be there making sure they're gonna be dancing traditional dances. They're gonna be making sure they're gonna be dancing whatever they feel that they can just dance. And also we're gonna be making sure that we are supporting them in whatever they are. We give them some time, we cherish with them, and talk about how they're just coping up with life, so as we can just feel like we are bringing them together with us. Because much of the people, whenever they talk about, like me here, much of the people talk about, oh Gintu, you're constructing a bigger G castle here, what about your parents? And my parents there, you can just check the house is there, so it's also a permanent. I just we ever built it, our home here. We just contributed and we built it. So they're staying in a comfortable way, not much of talking about that life of comfortability also, but it's a life that it's a little bit raised up, and that is the best way of us to go forward. And what I can just already assure you guys is I'm having that kind of a morale to have it. And after that, we're gonna be having a back to school. We buy some pens, we buy some books, buy some colors and alphabetical charts, talk about some revision questions, talk about some revision books, talk about exercise books, textbooks there, talk about the sanitary needs for the ladies whenever they're going to be going back to school, more specifically for the ones who are just going to much of the high schools, most of them. And they're going to be making sure that everybody is catered for. And that is the main point and the main reason for that back to school party. It has not been analyzed, so as I can just finish out this kind of the one that is still kept holded here, like the senior party that's going to be coming very, very fantastic. And from there, we're going to be making sure that everything goes on. The live going to be coming to you live one-on-one. And I don't know, some people are just watching me. I don't know if the phone is so fantastic. I'm going to be also purchasing, because this phone, it has worked for long. It's the phone that I bought. I think it was either March there. So it's when I was starting the YouTube channel, then I talked about, oh, I gonna be looking for a better phone because I had monetized, I was being paid during that time, and I talked about, oh, I have to buy this kind of a phone. Not that it's a big phone, it's just a Samsung A34, Samsung A34, and it's just working properly. So I'm gonna be making sure that even right now it has started feeding much of the memory services into the phone because of much of insertion, exertion, insertion, input, export. That's what is making it sometimes to fade in terms of the working, in terms of the ROM and also the RAM of the phone. So I'm gonna be eyeing forward to make sure that everything is so fantastic. Right now I'm diversing. I've brought it's called a drone. Then I want to make sure that if they're gonna not bring me this kind of we can call it the GoPro. If they're gonna not come the GoPro because it's a GoPro 11, I'm gonna be talking about, I'm gonna be purchasing GoPro 12 and also purchasing another phone, so they can just even talk about I'm always getting a contribution here, because what I can promise you is I'm getting much of the money, and I'm just storing much of the money to buy a laptop, which is the good laptop for me to use. Somebody talked about, oh, Gintu, we're going to be promoting. There's somebody who sent me $100 so I can just buy a laptop, and I'm still having it, and I'm storing it, so that, and just sometimes I'm adding 2,000, 3,000, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 sometimes, and I'm going to be collecting it. Whenever it's going to be reaching like 70,000, which is approximately $600, I'm going to be buying a laptop, which is the best, because sometimes we're going to be shooting videos and making sure that they're going to be coming to you live. And also we are preparing for the party for the G Castle, because I promised you that we're going to be having a G Castle party, and it's going to be coming to you lit, because it's the time for us to shine. It's the time for us to move forward despite having this kind of the challenges. And what I want to promise much of the people is and I'm just sending this kind of a warning to much of the demagogues, and also much of the hashish people who think about they're going to be putting Gintu down for their own talk about for their own a movement, or they think about, oh, they have to throw Gintu into the pogrom, they have to throw Gintu into this. Don't ever trust yourself that you're going to be throwing Gintu into a pogrom and think about you're going to be successful in terms of whatever you need. We're going to be falling together. That's the real fact. But what I can just tell you is I'm just out of such kind of the sarcasm, and I'm venturing because I have the project to perform. And God has blessed me with this kind of a heart of supporting much of the people. I don't have small, I don't have bigger. I don't have that, oh, you are dirty, you are clean. I don't have such kind of the stupidity, because much of the people, we treat them according to their hospitality. We have aggressive people, we have brutal people, we have sarcasm people, we have each kind of the people. They are around our environment. So for them to be there, that's how we call it a habitat, that's why we call it an environment. We have them onto the environment. That's why we call it a community. We have them. We have to cherish them. Sometimes it's us to advise them so as they can change. Sometimes you can talk about, oh, this kind of the person can never change. Maybe you can be the person who can change it. So sometimes we ever put ourselves in a default that we maybe talk about, oh, it can never happen, it will ever not happen, this and that, this. We are not bothered with that one. So the fact is, whoever is watching this kind of the video, I appreciate your movement and making sure that you are watching Gintu's video to the last stage. Subscribe, like, share, send it to your friend, send to a friend and a friend to a friend, so as they can just make sure that we are moving and also supporting Gintu, so they can just move forward. Not that I'm the best, but not like the rest. That is what I can just tell you, because right now even much of the people are so califragistically good talking about Gintu, the G Castle is moving, because right now we are putting this kind of a metal rail that it's gonna be preventing much of the security pattern, and at below there we are having something called the small pavement, like a skirting pavement that are gonna be protecting or handling water that gonna be not going at the far end, but coming to their spot. We have a spot of water at that kind of a particular area that they're gonna be getting to the downer level as they're gonna be doing some plumbing. And much of the people, guys, what I want to tell you is much of the people, they are waiting for strongman to democratize here and make sure that they're gonna be doing much of the things here. I have considered much of the things like a strongman needs transport from Gintu. Talk about from Mombasa to here I am, it's gonna be costing 3,000 Kenya shillings, and for him to go back, it's gonna be costing 3,000 shillings. I'm gonna be providing him with shelter, a place for him to sleep, and it's gonna be unto my own expense. So I've seen that it's gonna be so effective if much of the people are talking about Gintu, use the local people and rest around you. There's a person who was doing for Mayugno the plumbing, who did for Nasto the plumbing, and also is the person who has ever done much of the plumbing outside here, and I've ever been told that he's one of the good person who have democratized here. What I can just tell you is when he came, I first brought one of the people who are just gonna be doing this kind of the plumbing. Then he gave me a quotation that reached 60,000 Kenya shillings, which is approximately 490 there. Yeah, 490 no, 485 US dollars. Then when he did such kind of a thing, he never told me that, oh, this I have done this, I have done this I have done. So he just wrote everything. I showed him that this is how this is. He never told me that, oh, let me now tell you how we're gonna be making it. So he gave me a budget of 60,000. Then I asked him that, oh, have you calculated for the warm water into the house? Oh, you never told me about warm water. So is that kind of a person going to be competent in terms of this kind of the plumbing? So I saw this kind of the other person, because I test them that way. I tell the people that are gonna be having much of the things here, it's gonna be a modern house. So I want you to give me the plumbing of your own experience, of a person who is experienced in terms of plumbing in a modern house. So it's a modern house, everything will be available. Then I just gave him, I told him that this a bathroom, this is what, this is where how are they called? This kind of the stuffs are called washing machines. They're gonna be settled and everything. So I talked about, is electricity good? And he ever talked about, oh, but I have one kind of a question. We have talked about it's gonna be a modern house. So you're gonna be having each and every bathroom, is it gonna be having its own warmer? Talk about the water boiler. Then I talked about how do you consider it to be. Talked about we want to have a system that gonna be boiling water from out and using electricity, whatever you want it to use, and gonna be coming inside the house. I talked about, oh, you are now becoming a person who can just understand. How do you want us to do it? Then everything was just conducted, and he gave me a budget of 72 Kenya shillings, 72,000 Kenya shillings, which is approximately reaching 580 US dollars. That is the real fact. So when I just talked about how it's gonna be, the first person told me that the budget is 60,000, which is approximately 480 US dollars. Then I talked about how much is the labor. I talked about I'm gonna be coming 40% of it. I talked about, oh my living God, 40%, and the labor is talk about the cost of material is 60,000, and the 40% of the talk about was it 40? No, it was 60%. I talked about even Kenya, who is offering 60% of the materials being bought. I don't know such kind of the person. Maybe they think about YouTube. So I've considered not to have a strongman coming, so they can just have this kind of the local people, because of they're going to be performing their duty and going back to their home. So if it's just strongman, you're going to have to stay, sleep here, relax here, everything here, everything. So I talked about, let me take a person who is just around here, and they're going to be making things to get forward. What I need is to make sure that everything that we're going to be doing, it's just logistically good and it can be manhandled. And that's why I'll always select talking about is this person going to be competent? Is this person going to be handling this kind of the things in a very way and a good way here? So that is the really fact that and a real fact that are gonna be performing to make sure that everything is coming out to you very fantastic. Hey, my hands are very, very, very tired. So from the plumbing, guys, much of the people are waiting to know about, oh, Ginto, from the plumbing, what next? From the plumbing, I talked about you're going to be having the water spot, which is going to be collecting water tank, underground water tank, that you're going to be handling much of the water and being pumped to the tower. So I want a quotation, and the quotation will be coming tomorrow, and much of the things. Still, the top mason going to be continuing with some small stuffs there, and going to be continuing. If I can just see things are working properly, I can continue even with this kind of the deck. I can talk about you can have some tiles here, and you can just put the tiles and completely get out from the top here, so they can just venture with the downer area. How do you suggest that one? It's just a suggestion. We can just talk about again to go buy some tiles and put on top of the G castle, talk about on top of the deck and be complete. Just apply even some of the paint onto the metal rails there, and we continue with the other vibe. We can just talk about it gonna be working. That is the real effect of the time. And also I talked about the real fact of making us to move. The top mason gonna be coming back to make sure that we're gonna be having some sections. Talk about alongside the windows. We're gonna be making sure that we're gonna be having something protruding out, so they can just prevent the splash of water not hitting from the top of the G castle coming down onto the windows here. So they're gonna be making sure that they're gonna be placing something like a barrier that's gonna be protecting much of the splash erosion not to occur and to what? And to the windows, or splashing onto the window, corroding with some of the windows and some metals there, and everything gonna be so fantastic there. So that is the best event that the top mason continues with the work. So Fundi Duke here a little bit. Today you're gonna be having an off because I talked about today. It's on Monday, and we had a small off that they have to perform their own because Easter, some of the people had Easter, some of the people never had Easter. Like us, yesterday we never had Easter. We had the work, making sure that we are promptly getting forward with our work that we are ever doing. So that's why we have just promoted ourselves to talk about we have to get forward and give them a little bit of time, because I do understand my workers. I do understand much of the people, and I propose to them, how do you see? Can you come or you cannot come? I like a person who speaks out. Like tomorrow, give us an off, because I don't have that kind of hesitation. Oh, you know, I have to do it hurrying. Oh, I have to do it this way. I go promptly, because if you go with the hurry, and it was not to be that way, and if you force much of the people, come and work, come and do what, because you have money, it will not be worked properly. Give them freedom, give them power, give them everything, because when he's ever conducting some of the construction here, I don't be bothered like, oh, what is he doing, what is that. I always come and confirm, hey bro, today what's the work, it's this and then this. I go, then I leave him here, but I'm always around to make sure that whatever they're gonna be asking about, I'm always available. That is the difference between other YouTubers and Ginto. And that's why you see much of the people are talking about, oh, I don't have that. Oh, Ginto has some money. I have to rush to Nyamwase, to where. I go for leak, I go for what. But what I know is I have to make sure that I'm around. Whatever they need, because I'm the one who brought them here. Who am I going to tell that, oh, now sort this kind of the people, the luncheon, the supper, sometimes much of the people get out from here very late. So I have to provide sometimes, I have to provide them with a ride to Nyabwanse if it's at night. And we're going to be having such kind of the session. And I appreciate much of the thing God has given me, that kind of the potential to handle. And I think I'm handling them in a way that they can even know that I'm a human also. And I ever worked in such kind of talk about a condition. I was not being treated like the way I'm treating them. And that's the fact that I'm always telling much of the people that I understand even the way I ever wanted much of the people to work, even me to be treated. That's the way I'm just talking about this kind of the people to be treated. That is the best moment for me. Even I feel that even if I go to sleep, I feel like, oh, I'm just feeling califragistically good and I'm doing something very fantastic for them. And the people are just supporting me. Nothing is going in vain. Everything is going. And like today, I employed much of the students. Today, students came here talking about the Form 4 students. Here we have the grade 12. Grade 12 students, they came here today. And 3 of them, and they asked about, oh, Gintu, can you give us a small work? We are looking for to transport money. Form 4s, they are going back to school because of prior to making sure they're going to be studying, because Form 4 is now the final say of the school, talk about the high school way. So they have to go earlier before the schools. The school's going to be opening on Monday next week, and that's why we are talking about they came today, so because they were opening today 1 week before the others going to be opening the schools, and they have to go there and make sure that they are just performing their ever better in education. So they came here and talked about, oh, Gintu, can you offer us a job so they can just look for transport money? I talked about, the job that I have. At what time are you going back to school? They said about, we are going around 12 noon. I talked about, oh my living God, what are you going to do until 12 noon? I decided that, okay, let me do something that maybe I can just promote them. I decided to tell them that they have to collect much of, talk about the maram, and just come and hip here. So this is the maram that they hipped here, and so they can just levelize. What I'm just feeling better is I can start leveling the ground, and this is how I'm always leveling. I'm just small. I've just given them small thing that, okay, you are doing better, and go study well. I gave them some small tips here and there, so they can just go and study, because even me, during my high school, yes, I could not be in such kind of a position of going and talking to somebody that, oh, please can you help me or lend me this kind of the money, and be lended. So that is the moment that I'm just using to make sure that this kind of the boys are feeling at home, and they can just feel that, sometimes you can give a person a psych. Let me tell you guys this kind of a story here. Let me be in a position that you can never ever even listen to how it's just happening. What I can just tell you is when I was in high school, I know the condition in high school. I know the bitterness, and the betterness that it's in the school. And I know really about, because I studied also. I understand how it was so difficult for the person who cannot have even a pocket. Do you know, guys, that I was being given a pocket money of less than 50 cents to go for school, transport money and shopping. I was only buying a soap, a bar of a soap. It was costing 20 shillings in Kenya shillings, and 20 shillings to Isibania High School. And I can tell you as a fact, even my mother is the witness. She was not having money. Where are we going to have money? Because they were struggling to make sure that they're even planting much of the kales. I was coming from school, weeding much of the kales to make sure that I'm ever supporting the parents to have some kales and take them to the school. That was the time that I was ever looking at my parents. Then I can just understand that my condition at home, it's not favorable. And what I can just assure much of the students who are ever watching, and even the parents who are there, I can just advise much of the people, look at the condition from your home. Look at the condition. Much of the people talk about, oh, my father has this kind of the job this way. Or they doesn't know that, oh, the father has a death, or the father has a loan, or the mother is not okay. Talk about they have their own sickness. They are buying you food. You are seeing your condition at your home. You can understand that this is the condition at my home. This is how my parents, this is how we eat. If you understand that every day you are eating greens, 24/7, greens, Monday to Friday, greens. You have to use your brain. Much of the people don't use their brain. They talk about, oh, my father is declining not to give me, oh, my mother is very bad, she doesn't have to give me money. Oh, guys, I was given a little money. And what I can tell you, in high school time, I was ever performing the better, making sure that I was making something like, I was the one who was washing the canteen. For the people who understand what, is it raining? For the people who understand the canteen, a small shop in school that provide extra food and to the school. And I was the one who was washing it, and I was selected with a teacher. I asked for it. I was the one, talk about transporting maize from the store of the school to the machine. Talk about in the milling machine. And that's the time I was ever strong. Even right now, guys, I'm ever supporting that person who ever supported him. And if I just think about it, I just even sometimes cry, talking about this is the person who treated me. Not talking about this is the money, but he showed me how to fish. And I was ever working from my high school. I'm telling you that as a fact. I was ever transporting maize from the store of the school, taking them to the milling machine. Sometimes I was the one milling in the school. Trust me. And it was an extra county school. And I could just do the best. So whenever I just think about it, I was ever thinking about, oh my living God, this kind of the person. Some people just talk about, oh, Gintu, what are you doing, man? And other people are in games time. Talk about the games. Talk about the break of games time. But Gintu is working, so they can just earn a little bit of money. Because sometimes you could go to the school and get that much of the students, some of them, they're coming from, talk about the PSS, talk about the ministers, talk about the MCAs, people who are politicians, talk about business women, business parents, talk about people who are in a stable family. So when you go there and this kind of the people, they are sometimes danda, I can tell you. The people who are struggling to make a living, people struggling to eat at their home, who understand what they go to school to do, that the people are performing better, and this kind of the people are coming from the better family. They rely on them to get a leakage, for them to do an exam, for them to survive in that school, because survival value in terms of using money, they're the best. But in terms of headache, the head is not working properly, the common denominator. So that is the effect that we can come out and talk about. We have to understand our parents, where we came from. When I'm ever building this kind of the G Castle, do you know that my parents don't they don't appear to my TV, to my own channel, because they're ever even crying, talking about, is this the same Gintu that was ever struggling, ever cutting some grass, ever been taken too much over? You know, guys, it's not the first time. I'm telling you the fact. When I see this kind of the people talking about the police station here, do you know that even in my village, I was ever cutting grass? I'm telling you this, cutting leaves, and the people reporting me to the police that, oh, this kind of the person is disturbing us in the village. I was ever feeling very bad. And my mother was ever, once upon a time, was about even to talk about, I want to leave this kind of the world. Why am I saying so? It's because they ever thought about Gintu will never have anything. Gintu will ever no progress. And to the people who are just growing and people who are just listening to Gintu right now, I can promise you tomorrow is another day. Never ever allow people to define you with your past. Right now, there are people who are coming to talk about Gintu. I'm telling you that as a fact. Much of the people are coming to tell Gintu that, oh, I need this. Can you help me with this one? And I really appreciate, and I can just offer them whatever they need. Even if they wronged for me, I ever promise that I can just take care of them. That is the best moment that I can ever do. Much of the people are just struggling to make a living. Just be humble and make it. Because tomorrow, we're going to be reflecting another thing. And that is an advice I can just give to much of the students who are growing and make sure they're going to be going to school and learning better. And sometimes whoever, the parents who are just here, whoever is just learning, don't take them in granted that, oh, this kind of the person cannot perform better. This kind of the person, oh, is a danda in class. What am I using? Or I'm wasting my money because of this kind of the person. No. Sometimes you can never know the history of a person. Sometimes you can never know. Maybe it's the one who is at the back right now. Tomorrow you're going to be the one who is in front. So don't mistreat. Make them feel better. And sometimes, like, what I can just say is sometimes we have this kind of a motive that when a person is declined and to the family, talking about is the danda, is the one who cannot even perform, is the one who is characteristically stupid enough and cannot even entitled to do anything. That the people who struggle, and whenever they struggle, they come to be the better people and they can understand each and every person. So don't mistreat anybody and talking about, oh, this kind of the people cannot do this one. You can never know the history of a person. And to the traditional, to my own traditional custom, and much of the proverbs in my customs here, they are talking about muhingo gwere guigoro rerongo gohansi. It means that in the traditional time, we ever used to have the gate. Talk about the gate, entry gate. They were ever been closed with some logs of trees. So you have to heap them to talk about from down, heap them to the top. So they had a tree, and whenever you insert them this way. Another one slips on this one. So sometimes they heap and onto the top. So today, you just remove or you put them. So when you put them, it means that it will be the one to get out as the first. But when it was inserted, it was the last one. But whenever you want to open, it will be the first one. So the last one that will be picked whenever you are opening the door as the last log, it will be the first one whenever you want to close. So that is what the proverb is talking about. So sometimes define or don't define a person by the past. So much of the people are just studying and the parents were ever looking. Even in the overseas, I know, even the Wazungus, they have this kind of the character. They understand that, oh, my parents are doing better. What I can promise you is let us treat ourselves in a better way. And that is a say of Gintu today, that never define a person by his own past or her past. Because things change and tomorrow is another day. That is what I always promise much of the people. So as I'm just going to be ending this kind of a video here, because I'm ever using my phone, guys. I'm ever having a very crazy moment of handling the phone. Even right now, I'm just putting my arm this way so I can just film this kind of the video so they can just come to you. So we are struggling to make it happen. And much of the people are talking about, oh, it's very easy to have this and then this. Sometimes it's very, very hard for us to have. Even if you see much of the meme talk about usigwaruze hapo, sigwaruze tupa hiyo kitu isigwaruze. Yeah, so we are having much of the time. Uko na kitu ya kusema? Umekuja kujiangalizia? Yeah, thank you. Haya, endelea. We have some of the children who are here to look at, talking about, oh, we want to look at the GCAS lights moving, how it's looking like. We have them here. They are just here. Yeah, and everything is so fun. I give them room so they can just come and see the progress, because the children are the tomorrows. Talk about the tomorrow. People who will just lead, so they have to know and just come and see. Only you understand how the G Castle is moving here, and much of the students talk about. Even me, when the first time I went to Nasto. The first time I went to Nasto, oh, unamuinua, so they're just looking at how everything is moving. So the first time I went to Nasto, then I never knew that it's a hidden roof and it's just done this way. Then I just climbed on top and talked, oh my living God, it's looking so fantastic. My first time to see the hidden roof, it was at Nasto, talking about, oh, this is how the hidden roof is looking like. So it's not very complicated thing. So I talked about I can even do it, and I felt very good. You can understand the video that I was on top of a hidden roof, the black, and I was ever in a thumbnail doing this way, and I ever did it in the other demagogues who are ever talking bad about Gintu. So the fact is I don't have much of the time with them, so that is the real fact. So ever the people are just supporting Gintu. If you have reached this kind of an end, support, subscribe, like, share, and support Gintu so they can just groove together as a team and make it happen. The fact is that we're going to be having some parties. You can just talk about, oh, Gintu, I want to cherish with you, I want to support you. $1, $2, it's enough. So they can just have our talk about the village, because much of the people think about oh, Gintu, you know, because I'm ever performing the better. What I'm performing is to make sure that much of the people will feel it good, and much of the people understand, because when they see our parents are being handled, are ever taken care of, they feel like they're they're the ones who are supporting to make it happen, and support Gintu and make it happen, because we have much of the things to relatively think about and do with them, and that is the best moment I can just talk about. We're gonna be making it and handling it and taking it to another level. I appreciate. Musianguke, don't fall down. Yeah, you just have some leisure here and there, and you will just leave. Thank you. So that's the best moment that I'm ever doing, and I always support much of the people, guys, to make sure that we are moving. I'm not like talking about, oh, it's this way, it's that way, it's that way. I don't like to see much of the people suffering. Here I have the dogs here. They cherish, they understand that the real G is around, and I have to go. The security is tight from the backside here. So that is the best moment that we're ever looking for. So here we go. The talk about this kind of the side here, it's already prepared. The G Castle is moving, and that is the best moment that I can just talk about. We are making a movement. A movement is if you have just done a step, or even one step, it's the better, because it's not like the way we could just leave it the way it is. So if we have just finished about the windows here and everything is so fantastic, on top there I can just see, you can just check how now it's looking like from this kind of the far end. So this is how the G Castle is now looking like, and making sure that everything is performed in a better way of making sure that everything is moving to you live, one-on-one. And I appreciate much of the people watching. Oh, my hand. Much of the people are just watching the video and commenting, positive vibes, supporting Gintu. Let's make it happen. Support Gintu, we support the environment. Support Gintu, we raise other people's life. Support Gintu, children should just eat. Support Gintu, much of the people will gain from me because I'm not a person talking about, oh, I have to do, no, this is my money, oh, you don't, no. If it's just we make it happen, we make it happen. And the way we ever move, let's move together and make it happen. It's because tomorrow, we're going to be getting my GoPro back so as I can just have much of the times to get forward. And this is the best moment I can just talk about. We ever appreciate, I ever talk about. Thank you very much. Everyone has been locked, tuned in, and making sure that we are moving together as a team. Let's make it happen. Let's rise. Let's make it happen. That is the better. The dogs there, they are getting some food. The environment is looking so awesome. I want to backfill here, guys. And the way I'm backfilling here, it seems that whenever it gets to the time of land demarcation, talk about the leveling of the land, I'll not get any kind of a problem. Because right now, I'm getting it leveled. That is the best. Keep it tuned. Keep it locked. Mwah. Love you.